Hello, Dr. Vincent Bellonzi here, and I wanted to do a little video on Paleo man, or let's say ancient man. More and more studies, there's been a few books written on this, and there was just a recent study in Australia where they were looking at the teeth of early man. And you probably knew this, but early man was pretty awesome as far as physical strength, physical structure. They were pretty handy at hunting and whatever else they had to do to survive. And in some senses, just because they were more active, they were physically in better shape, right, than the average person, especially that's more or less sedentary. But they found that earlier man had much stronger teeth. They didn't get cavities as easily. And this goes back to work by Dr. Weston Price, a dentist. He wrote Nutrition and Physical Degeneration. It's a very interesting read. And he actually went to ancient peoples that were still indigenous peoples that were still living a few years ago. It's hard to find the original people anymore. But he found that, expecting to find that they had teeth that were prone to cavities and bad crooked teeth, things like that he was used to treating in Western society, he found that their teeth were perfect and white and very well formed. And there's a recent study in Australia where they're finding the same thing, that our ancestors, ancient man, actually had very good teeth, very strong teeth, and they didn't decay and cause problems. They're finding whole jaw bones with teeth intact, and you know, we don't find that with modern man. Our teeth didn't fall out. We blame aging, but more and more it's looking like it's really our diet and our lifestyle. And when they tested the bone structure in early man, much stronger, much denser bones. Well, the way that you make dense bones is to put stress on them. So if you want to have strong bones, it's not about how much calcium you take. In fact, now they're finding that some people are maybe taking too much calcium. The way you make strong bones is the same way that you make a strong building. Think of a big concrete building and the fact that if you don't engineer it correctly, the building can tend to just pancake, just collapse down with an earthquake or winds or something like that. But if there are some let's say some building codes or some actual engineering that's done, they put rebar, reinforcing metal bars in the concrete, and it becomes virtually indestructible. Well, your bones are the same way. You actually have reinforcing collagen structure, and that structure builds according to the stress you place on your bones. So if I want strong bone, I have to stress the bone in the right way, and then the collagen structure builds, and the bone mineralizes around that. And it's not just calcium. There's boron, there's strontium, there's a number of minerals that deposit in there. There are also some bad things that can. But the bone is very active tissue, changing till the day you die, remodeling itself according to what you do in your life. Well, ancient man and women had very strong bones. And we believe that also was caused by the fact that they had very strong muscles and tendons. There was a lot of force acting upon those bones. And that actually made stronger people, people able to do more physically, people able to withstand injury. It was a much different situation because they were active and they were eating a diet that we have evolved to eat. Does that make sense? If you live the lifestyle that we live today and you don't get the nutrients that you need and you don't get the right stresses, you're going to build a weaker body. And there's variations, of course, in our population, but as a general rule, the general population, modern day, is a pretty weak being that's easy to injure. Not everybody, but if we look at the averages. Whereas if we look not that long ago in our ancestry, we find very strong people who could go without sustaining injury unless there was quite a bit of force placed upon them. I'm not saying that they didn't die, but they died more of probably more catastrophic things. We're dying today of certain chronic diseases. We're, in a sense, degenerating in the time of our lives where they were regenerating. So something to think about, that we could take some of the good from our ancestors by eating a better diet that actually allows our body to function better and gives good structure to our body as well. And we can be physically active so that all of our systems are, let's say, exercised. And I'm not just talking about your muscles. Of course you want stable muscles, bones, ligaments. You want the whole system to be able to take the forces that you may place upon it. You don't want to be a weekend warrior. That has to be a continuous thing that you do. And then you have to have the nutrients to not only build but rebuild. That way you've got big nerves, big muscles. Everything's very well functioning and built well, instead of weak and fragile and, in a sense, like I said, maybe even coming to a peak and starting immediate degeneration. We tend to peak out when we're in our 20s, and then we blame aging for the degeneration, when it's really more lifestyle. So, in a sense, some things we may want to live like our ancestors. We want that physical activity that's beneficial. We want the nutrients that don't cause disease, but create a strong and functional structure. Then we can be healthy. This is Dr. Vince Bellonzi. Maybe we should learn how to live like caveman in some ways, without losing modern conveniences. Live a healthy life.